It's called Mysteries of Mysticism. So I am trying to explore what the traditional religious views to define what you're saying. That what is, when we say the word spirituality, mysticism, what do we actually mean? So my sort of thought is that it is defined in that tradition. So if you belong to a religious tradition, spirituality means this. If you belong to the mystic tradition, mystic poets and all that, they mean that which is different from the traditional religious. On the other hand, if you are a psychologist or a psychiatrist, so you when you say spiritual, the word psyche used to be soul.
Right.
Now we say mind. So there's a transition. The religious perception was soul. That was pre-existed, came and went back. Either you are reincarnated or you go to heaven or hell. But there is a concept of soul that gave matter a soul. But we say no, there is no soul from the secular point of view. But there is mind. Now the question is that the step further now is that what does the neurology says. So when you have a brain and you have a temporal lobe and a right temporal lobe, and that's spiritual. He was asking me a question that I wanted to introduce. That as a neurologist, you would say that we all have a right temporal lobe. It doesn't matter you are atheist, mystic, religious, fanatic. If we take you into the laboratory and put a helmet and stimulate your right temporal lobe, you will have those experiences that traditionally we call spiritual experience. So that spiritual experience has nothing to do. So to me, what I am concluding is the difference is that as a secular perspective, that spirituality is part of humanity, not divinity. That is the thing. So there is an experience we can all have. Some have more, some less.
Yeah.
But that, to me as a secular person, I say this is part of my humanity. But my sister will say this experience is because it is related, so neurologically we say, that this experience is the right brain experience. Creativity, spirituality, even insanity. The psychotic person, hallucinating, schizophrenic, bipolar, paranoid, schizophrenic, even drug-induced schizophrenia, that pathology is part of the right brain. So the right brain experience when it comes to the left brain. So the left brain still, we are not evolved enough to say that it is the same brain. So I think in the history of science, it is a big discovery that we have two brains. We don't have one brain. We thought we have one brain. So when the right brain experience comes to the left brain perceives it as an outside experience. So if you are religious, it comes from God. If you are spiritual, it comes from the muse. Muse has identity.
Yeah.
Gabriel for Muhammad has an identity. So Gabriel brought to Muhammad, Muse brought to Socrates. I say now as a secular scientist, I say it comes from your unconscious. So then Abraham Maslow would say that your unconscious is God. So to me that I feel in a very nutshell. So this is what I'm exploring in my book, that how from the religious to the spiritual to the secular, how modern biology, because we are not at a stage yet that a mystic and a poet and a scientist and a biologist, we cannot still communicate. We don't have the language yet. All of us are using our own traditional language. So the question now is, can we develop a language where at least we know? I think one of the people who did that, I had admiration for him, was Abraham Maslow. So he said, call it a peak experience. So he would call all three experiences a peak experience. So that he said peak experience should be explained in a way psychologically that an atheist and a religious person could both agree upon. That there is an experience that we can all have, which is different than the regular day-to-day experience. So I think that I feel the difference, the line here is that the people who are drawn to the higher power will say it is part of some form, not a religious Moses God who kills you and burns you and sends you to hell, but it's a transcendent power. So that is the divinity that could be existence in all over the universe. So it's part of that. But we as secular people will say, this is part of you and me as human beings, this is part of my humanity, it has nothing to do with divinity. But again, those are the two perspectives, and we can hold our perspective.